an alternate universe where everything is as natural, recycled, local, and ethical as possible. I'm Kim. You might know me as kimsmithhappy all over the interwebs, and it's wonderful to have you guys here today. I run a local yarn store just outside of Bristol by the name of Alterknit Universe. I'm a knitter and a spinner, and I dabble in some natural dyeing and crochet and all kinds of good stuff. I also have chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, which is why we're only open half of the week. And I just wanted to say a tremendous welcome to everyone. Thank you if you have watched the first couple of episodes, and welcome if you are brand new, if this is your first time watching. This podcast is about an hour long, and it's mostly just me chatting to you about what's going on, what I'm working on, what's new in store. And then I'm a big nerd, so we talk a little bit about what I'm watching and reading and things like that at the moment. Feel free to comment and let me know if there's anything that you'd like to add. I'm always interested to hear from you guys. And this week, actually, this last 2 weeks, it feels like it's been a long time since the previous episode, but it's only been 2 weeks. And yeah, I've had a few people come into the store and say they watched the podcast, and that's amazing, and it was really nice to hang out with you in store. So yeah, if you're in the Bristol area, make sure to come and check us out. There are not a lot of yarn stores in Bristol. There are a few, but they seem to be dwindling, so make sure you add us to your list if you're down this way. I always love to meet you guys. Speaking of you all, we hit a couple of really great milestones in the last 2 weeks. We hit 2,000 subscribers on my personal Instagram account, which, thank you so much. That's kind of crazy. I didn't expect it, and I'm just blown away by it. And I was going to announce that we had hit 500 subscribers on YouTube, and then I looked again today, and we're over 600 subscribers on YouTube. Yay! So, thank you. That's amazing. Hello, everyone, and I'm so glad you found us. That's really great. I want to do a giveaway to celebrate, and it's going to be mostly an Instagram giveaway because that's the big 2,000 subscriber follower milestone. Wow, I cannot get my words out today. So the rules and everything will be on Instagram, but just to go over it, to enter the giveaway, make sure you are following us or following me at kimsmithhappy on Instagram, and then just post a comment on the giveaway picture recommending us to a friend, because that is the best way to get the word out there. So yeah, say something you like about the account or the podcast or anything like that, and then tag one of your friends, and you'll be entered to win this. You'll be entered to win this, which is a little goodie bag. We've got 2 skeins of my hand spun and naturally dyed yarn. They are 50 grams each, and they're both dyed with madder, and they go together really nicely. So one's a sort of richer color and one's a very pale madder, and these are 100% Blueface Leicester yarn, and I love them. They're super gorgeous. They're the last 2 of their kind, so they're very special. So if they're 50 grams each, a total of 100 grams. So you'll get these 2 guys, and you'll also get a pin badge that says babe on it, because everyone who's here is a total babe. I wish I could give you all babe badges. So these are just some pin badges, big pin badges. They look really nice on coats or project bags. And then this is a brand new product that I am just going to talk about later on in the episode. These are stitch markers made by us. They come with a hand-pressed stitch progress keeper, sorry, my words, and then 5 little buttons. And I'll talk more about the making of them and what they all are later on in the What's New section. So if you're interested in that, you can fast forward to that. So yeah, Instagram, comment on the picture. It would be great to give something back to all of you guys. As I mentioned, I do have chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, and today I'm having a couple of symptom flares, including the feeling like I'm going through menopause. I'm feeling really warm, so I might have to stop a couple of times and go cool down because the lights in here are pretty bright. And my throat is also a little bit sore, so I'm sorry if I'm speaking a little softly than usual. Also, to celebrate these milestones that we hit this week, I thought you'd like to hear a couple of things about me. And my cat! Say hello, Negs. Say hello to everyone. They're over there. Say hello. She says hi. She loves y'all. And she wishes she could come play in the shop all day, every day. But, I've had Negs for, gosh, how old are you? Nearly 11? 12? I think she's almost 12 years old. I've had her since she was a year old. Oop, there she goes. And we call her Negs. Her full name is Negative because I used to be super into darkroom photography. We call her Negs or Neggy. She's got her own hashtag on Instagram and she's, you know, super cat famous. No, not really, but so that's my cat.
Hello everyone, this is Kim from the future. I am actually editing the podcast right now, and I realized that my little segment, my little about me segment, is kind of long and not everyone's going to be interested. So I answer a couple of common questions that I get asked. So if you want to watch that, hang on until the end of the video. I will pop it after the Let's Get Nerdy With Me section. Otherwise, let's crack on straight away to some knitting, finished objects, and whips, and all that good jazz.
This week we're gonna start with a finished object and then move on to whips and then what's new and then a little bit of nerdy stuff. Let's start with finished objects. So this week I only have one finished object, but I am very pleased with them. They are my West Yorkshire Spinners Tequila Sunrise socks. They haven't been blocked or anything yet. They are just sort of vanilla socks. I did them toe up. I did talk about them in a previous podcast, so if you're interested you can have a look. They've got these cute little baby cables on the cuff, which I love, and I decided to do the heel in the same color as the toe, which is their milk bottle color. I love West Yorkshire Spinners sock yarn. It's just the right blend of soft and hard wearing, and it's only $7.20 a ball, which is ridiculously affordable considering it's British wool and it's produced and spun and dyed and everything in the UK. Socks! So here is one of my socks on my little homemade cardboard sock blockers. We have these around the shop just to showcase the different kinds of yarn because sock blockers are expensive. So here we go. I love this. I just did a afterthought heel. Very simple sort of wedge toe heel. Wedge toe heel? Does that even make sense? You know what I'm talking about. I love the color changes. It's just really nice to see a pair of finished socks of this colorway. I would say that this is probably my favorite colorway of their cocktail collection, which I know is controversial because there are a lot of beautiful colors. But yes, I'm so happy to finally have these off the needles. That's another one of my whips. Finished, done, kitchenered, all finished, ready to wear, which is wonderful. I'm a little bit torn because they are obviously my size, so I could wear them right now, or I could put them up in the shop for a while and use them as samples. So I'm like, don't know. They should probably go in the shop as samples for a while, but I just want to wear them straight away. I have a sort of half-finished object, but let's move into whips because it goes in whips, so let's talk about that next. So thank you so much for all of your comments about my Christmas Eve cast-on socks, my Hufflepuff socks. I'm really enjoying making them, and a lot of you are super curious about the brioche rib I was talking about and whether I should do it, and loads of you guys had really good advice, which thank you so much. If you took the time to comment, that's really wonderful. I decided to learn some brioche because I didn't want to go straight into it and then completely screw it up. So I decided to learn some brioche, and I chose the easiest wool imaginable. I chose to use some of my mini skeins, which are many threads put together, my recycled yarn basically, and I chose some that had a lot of texture and was not the easiest thing to work with, but I find it quite easy because I'm used to it. But everyone at Knitting Group was like, wow, Kim, you really chose the easiest yarn. So anyway, I think it's beautiful. I learned this week just by looking up tutorials on YouTube, and I started off with the beginner sort of brioche where you do, if you've ever done brioche before, you have to like knit the row in one color and then go back and knit it in the second color. So that's how I started. I started off here at the bottom. You can see it's not perfect. It's not perfect at all. I just did a little swatch. There are mistakes everywhere. But I wasn't really worried about it. I wasn't going to go back and fix the mistakes. I was just playing. I was just, seeing how it worked out. And it is super stretchy. I love the colors. This little swatch was inspired by the Stephen West Knits Bundled in Brioche free pattern on Ravelry for this scarf that changes colors in 2-color brioche. So I did that. I did that for half of it, and then as I was doing it, I was learning about the stitch, and I was thinking to myself, like, there's got to be a way to do this where you can do both colors in one pass, because, come on, guys, there's got to be. So I looked up one of my favorite vloggers, YouTubers, Sockmatician, and he's got a 1-pass 2-color brioche that gives you the perfect finish of brioche, but by doing it all together, because the double Dutch method is not 100% the same looking fabric. So anyway, so I did that on the second half, and it took me a while to get into it. As you can see, there are lots of mistakes here, but I really, really enjoyed the Sockmatician's method of doing it. I naturally ferrule. I like to use both hands, so I found that quite easy to adapt because I can already knit with both hands. But yeah, I think it's amazing. I love the stitch. It was really fun to work with these colors as well. So this is a little swatch that I did, and then I am knitting a plain stockinette square out of the same colors because I wanted to see how stretchy the difference was. So I'm knitting a plain square, and I'm also going to be knitting a ribbed square so that I can see the difference between the stretchiness, because before I commit to brioche on my socks, I want to make sure that they're going to be good. Now, I'm using a 2mm needle at the moment. I'm actually knitting my socks in a 2mm, so I think if I'm going to do a brioche cuff, I'm going to have to go down a few sizes. That's what everyone's been saying. So I need to find some super small needles, and I don't own anything smaller than a 2mm. So I'm going to have to go on the hunt. If anyone has recommendations, please let me know. I do stock Addy needles in the shop, and I'm pretty sure that they do lace needles that are super tiny, so I'll have to investigate. But yes, I am loving the way that these colors are coming out. Really, really pretty. Sorry, this circular cable's all over the place. Yeah, so that was like the big project, and I was like, I'm not allowed to cast on a new project until I finish 2 other projects. But because this was just a sample and a learning technique, I didn't count it as a project because it's not a garment or anything. Have another little look at the brioche if you didn't get a good chance to look. I love how different they look on both sides. They're like completely different fabrics, and yet, they're the same colors. I'm in love with it, and if I didn't have my rule about starting new projects, I would be 100% all up in the brioche right now. I haven't done any increasing or decreasing like slanty lines or anything, but I loved it. I love the technique. I'm really looking forward to doing some more and just perfecting it so that we don't get these little funky little bits of yarn that are just in the wrong place. They just weren't quite right. So yay, brioche. The other things I've been working on the last 2 weeks are 2 projects that I have on the go. I've been sort of alternating between the 2 because one of them is a little bit more bulky and big, and I sort of keep it upstairs and that's where I work on it. And the other one I've been carrying around with me really trying to focus on getting it done. It's one of the whips that I thought was going to be really hard to get my head around again, but I've actually just dove in the deep end with it. Let me get it out. And that is the crazy Celtic cable knot socks that I'm working on for my dad. This is in West Yorkshire Spinners 4-ply. I have an endless supply of West Yorkshire Spinners 4-ply because that's what we carry in the shop. So it's like my go-to sock yarn. Dad loves this color, and I have never made Dad a pair of socks, and I felt like he deserved it. A couple of years ago, I cast this on. The pattern is absolutely beautiful. I will link it in the show notes, obviously. If you don't know, I always put the show notes in the description with links to everything and little time markings. So if you wanted to skip ahead, sorry, I nearly lost my pattern there. If you wanted to skip ahead, you can. This pattern is called Lieb, and it's a beautiful cabled sock. Now, it's got these crazy charts because the cables on this sock go from the back, and I'm like trying to figure out how to describe it. It's probably easier if I just show you. So the cables start, here's the heel. The cables start at the back of the foot and they wrap around the sock and end on the top of the foot. So they're super intricate and really, really lovely. Let me show you. So it's a ribbed sock, and then you've got these intricate cables going along the sides. Now, I'm doing these on circulars. I've done a lot. I think I was about here. When I picked it up. So that was all I had done. And then, you know, in my quest to finish all of my whips, I picked it up again and went for it. And it took me a little while to get back into the charts and everything. I feel like it's a really awkward sock to try and show, but I'm in love with it. The cables are super intricate, and I do have to follow along row by row, but I'm finding it a lot easier now to get into a rhythm in the row. So I know in the row, like, oh, okay, this is all moving to the left, so I do that all the way across the row. So it's a little bit easier. I am not looking forward to casting on the second sock. I think I'm going to have some serious second sock syndrome, just because there's a lot of work that went into this. There's a lot of work. Look at all that latticing on the instep. It's a very clever pattern though, because as you can see, these ribbed bits here, they come, where was the one? They come in here, and then they lace in and out and weave in and out, and then they pop out again, and then follow along the bottom. So it's beautiful, and it even is incorporated into the heel flap here, which I really, really love. So much fun. And I have been using my little brand new progress keepers that I made this week. This one is I solemnly swear I'm up to no good, which is one of the badge designs that I make. And I have also been using my button and hemp stitch markers. I've been testing them out because I wanted to see if they were hard wearing, if they were too heavy, and I really, really like them. I'm not a big fan of jewelry on your knitting, so this was a new experience for me. I mean, I've used progress keepers and stuff before, but to like properly commit to using it every time. This sock I didn't think was going to be very addicting, but I found myself up until 3 in the morning last night because I just wanted to do another row. It's one of those where it's just like, just one more row, and then the next episode starts and you're like, oh, that's fine, I'll just finish this row and turn it off. And then you're watching the next episode, so you have to start a new row. And it's the cheese and biscuits conundrum, which, if you don't know, the cheese and biscuits conundrum, I'll happily share with you, is you get your biscuits and you get your cheese and you eat them, and then you usually end up with like a little bit of extra cheese left over. So you grab another biscuit to have it with, but then you're left with a little bit of biscuit left over, so you have to grab a little bit of cheese, and then you're left up with a little bit of cheese left over, so you have to grab a biscuit, and it's just like, you never finish eating cheese and biscuits ever because it's so good. So these are my cheese and biscuit socks, I guess, but I love them, and I have been putting it on as I have been going to check the size for Dad's foot. And he's so good. He's such a good sport. And it's fitting really well. It is a little bit tight across here. You know, the like heel instep axis. It's a little bit tight across there because of these cables. So on the next sock, I'm just going to have to be really careful and watch my tension. But it does fit, so it's fine. Yay, I'm so excited and he's excited and I can't stop showing it off, and I'm going to shut up about them now because you're probably sick of me talking about them, but they're so beautiful. I love them. The other project I've been working on this week is the toddler jumper, which I've shown before on the podcast. The toddler cardigan jumper sweater thing. The Aran one. Okay guys, I have a bit of a sob story to tell you. I knit a whole sleeve and then I had to rip it out. R.I.P. my toddler Aran sleeve. R.I.P. I had to rip it out and I was so angry at myself because the pattern says to knit it flat and I was like, I can knit this in the round, it'll be fine. I'm clever, I can do that. And I must have just been having a really brain dead day. And I remember sitting on the couch and not feeling like I could do anything. So I was like, I'll just knit. And I must have just completely spaced out because I did the shaping all wrong. And it was just all wrong. And I'd knitted it all the way up to the top. And then I looked at it and was like, that's really long. And it was all screwed up. So I had to rip out the entire sleeve. And it is Irish moss stitch, you guys. I'm one of those people where moss stitch seems to just take forever. All the back and forth. But I ripped it out. You'll be proud of me. I ripped it out. I didn't try and fudge it. I didn't have a weird shaped sleeve. The knitting group gave me hell for this because of my crazy shaped sleeves that I showed in my whips video. But look, you guys, an actual sleeve-shaped sleeve in Irish moss stitch. It's done with all the correct shaping. I've got little markers in here to let me know where the shaping is. I finished a sleeve and I'm halfway finished the other sleeve. So I managed to get over my distress and sort it out. And as you can see here, I got really addicted and knitted the whole dang thing in one go. Again, I'm loving these progress keepers. They're really motivating. If you've never used a progress keeper, you hook it on when you start knitting in the session, and then you can see how much you've knitted in that one sit-down session. And it really motivates me because sometimes when you're knitting, you feel like you're just knitting and knitting and knitting and it's not growing at all. Whereas here, you definitively can say, no, look, that's how much I knitted just now. Which, as someone who is very reward driven, very, very, very satisfying. Very satisfying. So there you go. I've got a sleeve and a bit. So that is coming along nicely. Hopefully it will be done soon. I mean, I've just got to finish the sleeve, sew it together, and then do the collar thing. So yeah, it should be finished pretty soon, and maybe I can even give it to him during this cold season and he can snuggle up in it and be nice and warm and toasty, so that would be good. I'm making it for my cousin Sam, who is my great aunt's son's son, so some genealogy person tell me what to call this kid. I just call him my cousin because he's cute. So that's it for whips. So that's quite a successful week knitting wise. I didn't do much spinning at all. I spent a lot of time in bed. I didn't really feel well enough to get up and sit at my spinning wheel, so I haven't done any spinning. Let's move on to what's new in the shop because I have been working on something very exciting, which I've kind of already showed you, but let me talk about it some more. First of all, what's new in store this week? Can we just talk about the mini skeins, because you guys have totally cleared me out of mini skeins. Thank you so much, everyone who saw the podcast about the price going up on the 20th of January from £2.50 to £3.50, and you guys have totally cleared me out, so I better get making some more minis. Thank you so much to everyone who ordered some, and if you are making anything with them, please tag me on Instagram or Ravelry as #Alterknit Universe. I would absolutely love to see what you guys are getting up to with them. Just a little warning, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in the last video. When you're balling them up from a skein, I'm sure you guys do this anyway, but just make sure that you have it on something so it doesn't get all tangled, because it does have multiple strands and it's easier to get tangled because of the multiple strands. But that's one of the reasons why I love it, because it gives you loads of different color combinations. So thank you so much. And yeah, I'm excited to design new colorways. I've already got a couple in the works that may or may not be Harry Potter themed. The other thing that's new in the shop is the windows have been changed. The windows are officially Valentine's sort of themed. We're keeping it very low key because we're not, you know, super big on Valentine's, but I have decided to go with a love comes in all shapes and sizes theme. I will hopefully be doing a little walkthrough of the Valentine's window so you can see in a separate video. But I made these illustrations last year that are silhouettes of different people. So this here is obviously showcasing the love between a mother and a daughter and how special a bond that is. We've also got romantic love between a husband and wife. We've got boy on boy. We've got girl on girl. And we've got the love between a woman and her many cats. So if you're around and you want to come check out the window, please do. We've gone with a kind of bookshelf theme with these picture frames spaced in between them. I'm really in love with them. I really like these. I made these myself, these illustrations myself. I'm kind of thinking of putting them on postcards too. I don't know if anybody would be interested, but I think they're really pretty, and they definitely celebrate all of the different kinds of love that you can have in your life. Sorry, my cat, whom I love dearly, is just scratching the rug. What are you doing? Stop it. She's so naughty. We could talk about cats another day, but Nex has been on a diet for ages, which I wouldn't do, but it's actually been impacting her health. So we were like, okay, we better put her on a diet. And she's become very naughty. I think she just misses food a lot. So naughty kitty's naughty, but I still love her lots. Okay, you guys, this is the best. A little story behind this. I had a boring money meeting with my dad this week about stuff, which we have every week, but we had an extra one this week. And I was just so bogged down with numbers and gross stuff that I came home and I was like, I need to make something. And stitch markers have been in my mind for a long time. So I just came home and decided to do it. And I did. And I played around with lots of different materials. I'm not a big fan of jewelry on your knitting. I think that they are beautiful from afar, but I have a little thing about metal. I'm not a big fan of it. It's my own personal crazy, but I've just never been a big fan of it. I don't wear bracelets or necklaces or earrings really, so it's not my thing, but I can appreciate it, and I know that, you know, they look pretty and shiny and whatever. We do carry some fancy stitch markers in the shop that are made by a friend of mine, and they are very pretty. But I wanted to do something that was a little more speed and a little more eco-friendly, and that showcased stuff that we, you know, that we're all about. So I've come up with these two things. We've got progress keepers and we've got button or hemp stitch markers. So let's do the progress keepers first. So this here is the progress keeper. It is a little sort of button badge type thing. As you can see, the back is just plain, and then on the front is an illustration. And it's actually sort of designed for our key ring, but we replaced the key ring with a little lobster claw so you can hook it onto your projects. And these are so cool. I just did a bunch of them with designs that I already have, but I'm really looking forward to doing more knit and crochet and spinning themed ones. They are a really good size. They're not very heavy because it's plastic and then paper, so they're quite light, and they don't jangle around too much, like some of the other stitch markers do. But yeah, I really like this. So I know I've seen loads of people with like little metal charms and stuff. Those are great, but I wanted to make ones that were 100% like made by us. And the metal charms you have to buy from like India and stuff, which I'm not really about, or like China, or I'm not really about that. So what could we make locally that would work just as well? So they work really, really well, and they're locally made in Bristol. We make them right in the store, so that's really nice, so that all the charms are really unique. That's what we're doing for those stitch markers, and I really, really like them. Oh, and those come in little packets like this. I did all the design work for these as well. So they come hanging on a little piece of thread there that you can unhook, and it's got the details on the back. These are going for £1.40 each, and they come with their little plastic bag so you can pop them in there once you've opened it and everything. Makes a great little gift as well because it's all packaged all pretty. I've made quite a few of these with designs, as I said, that I've already got ready to go. So we've actually got a lot of these. And then the actual stitch markers, again, come in a little packet like this. These are going for £1.30 for a packet, a pair, a set of 5. And I spent a lot of time designing these because, again, the kind of stitch markers that you see generally, the handmade ones, are made with beading wire or something, and they've got loads of fancy beads on them. And I actually bought some crimp beads and some beading wire to try and do that myself and to see what it was like and everything, but it wasn't really gelling with me. And then I found this hemp cord that is actually made for sort of macrame stuff. So I don't know if you guys can get a good look at that, but it's 100% biodegradable, eco-friendly hemp cord. This just happens to have a little bit of shiny thread in it as well. And it's tied with a very simple knot, but the knot is actually kind of a feature of the stitch marker. And then there is a button on the end. And all of these are super unique and super different. They come in a pack of 5 sort of coordinating colors. No two of them are the same. We've got a whole bunch of different ones here. And just to give you an idea of all the different types of buttons there are, I tried to stick to black and white and sort of yellows for my first batch, just so that I know that they'd all go together. So yeah, so there's a whole bunch of them. I really, really love them. I have been working with them. I have a couple of people testing them out. They will go up in the online shop as soon as I am 100% sure that they're gonna last and be hard wearing. That's the only thing I was unsure about. Otherwise, if you want a set of progress keepers and stitch markers, we're selling those for £2.40 because it obviously saves on packaging. And here's just an example of this little sets that I put together. I'm really, really happy with them. Here's what it looks like on the back. We've used old cereal boxes to keep them nice and stiff. Again, we try and use as much recycled packaging as we possibly can. And we're always trying to improve. For example, the plastic bags, I'm always on the lookout for something a little more eco-friendly. So yeah, if you do know of anything, let me know, because I'm always learning and always trying to improve. But this is where we are at the moment. Everything except the plastic bags and the plastic base for the progress keepers are recycled or locally made or natural. Please let me know what you think. Have you ever used hemp string for stitch markers before? I often use just little offcuts of thread and just tie them in a knot. Not very pretty, but they work. So this is kind of an improvement on that idea. As I said at the top of this episode, if you want to enter the giveaway, please go to the Instagram page and the stitch marker and progress keeper will be included in that. So I guess the last thing to do is get nerdy with me. Yay! Nerdy time! So a couple things this week. First of all, you guys, Toddlers came out for The Sims 4. Something very highly anticipated by the entire simming community. Anyone who plays The Sims 4 has been desperate for Toddlers, because before this last free update, it was just you go from babies in cribs to like a 7-year-old, and there was like nothing in between. So it's really cool. I haven't been able to download it yet just because my laptop is super full, but I've been watching some people online play with the toddlers, and they are so gosh darn cute. So gaming wise, that is what I have been lusting after and really excited for. I have also been watching in the background the entire playthrough of Life is Strange, which is a game where it's like a story-based game where you're given choices to make, and then your choices affect the outcome. And I have been watching Jacksepticeye, his playthrough, and he's Irish and really funny, and I love his approach to story-based games. He's a bit of a crazy guy. Like, he does a lot of crazy games on his channel. He's got like ridiculous millions of followers, subscribers, and he plays a lot of crazy games. But I first found him when I was looking for Fallout 4, I think, and then I started watching Firewatch and a whole bunch of his other stuff, and I really like it. And Life is Strange is an incredible story. I'm not going to give it away, but everyone knows that it's about a girl who finds out that she can stop and rewind time, basically, and like do things over. It's a really amazing story. I got sucked in, and the main character is at an art school for photography, and so obviously I clicked with that, and it was really fun to see that sort of interpretation, and photographs are a big part of the story. So I loved it. I highly recommend, if you don't want to play it yourself. There are loads of playthroughs online. The characters are very endearing and interesting, and I've got to admit that I was bawling my eyes out at one point because it touched very close to home. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but it's an incredible game. And there's a girl with blue hair, so like, you know, it's gotta be good. So I watched that whole playthrough this week, which took up like 10 hours of my time, but I had it on in the background while I was knitting away. What else was I doing this week? Oh, I was watching all of the Vogue Knitting live vlogs that went up, and that just filled me with so much joy. It warmed my heart to see so many people being together and being excited about knitting, and just yarny goodness. It was just wonderful to see everyone's vlogs and to see the podcasters that I watch get together and hang out, which was really nice. It reminded me a lot of Summer in the City, which is a YouTube convention that I go to every year. I always vend at it. I have a table in the crafters section, and it really reminded me of that vibe. The internet coming to life, if that makes sense. It was wonderful. Summer in the City is mostly based around the vloggers and entertainment side of YouTube, not necessarily focusing on gaming or crafting or podcasts or anything like that, but there are amazing little niches that get together and people do meetups and meet and greets, and it's just a wonderful atmosphere, and everyone's really excited, and there's loads of like screaming 15-year-old girls running around like meeting their internet crushes, which is incredibly surreal. But there's also an amazing community of makers that get together and are able to sort of spend the weekend together and hang out. So watching the Vogue Knitting live vlogs made me very like homesick for Summer in the City. So I'm really looking forward to doing that again this year. That also reminds me of like festivals in general, and as a shop I am planning to vend at a couple of festivals this year. Nothing is confirmed yet. Looking forward to what this year brings. I don't want to give away too much. I'll let you know as things happen. So yeah, are any of you guys going to Unravel? What are you looking forward to the most? Do you have a favorite Fibro festival that is in your area that you go to every year? Let me know. I am sort of putting together a big list of festivals. We got a big van. We traded in our little people carrier for a big van. It's still like a car van. It's not like a white van, but it does mean that we'll have more space and we can sleep in the back and do more festivals. energy and health permitting. So let me know what your favorite festivals are. I know the Edinburgh Yarn Fest is a popular one. Wonderwool, Unravel, Fibro East. I'm just blanking on all of the rest of them, but let me know what your favorite UK-based Fibro festival is, and I will do some investigating and maybe add it to our list. So that's one of the things that I've been watching. The things that I have been reading and listening to, I have mostly, as I said, I've been having YouTube on in the background, so I haven't been listening to a lot of audiobooks, but I did start a series by Helen Harper, who did Bloodfire, which I talked about in the last podcast episode. This one, I believe, started with Gifted Thief, and it might have been, I didn't enjoy it very much, but it might have been because it was the same author writing a similar character, and it had the same narrator as the series that I just listened to, so it probably wasn't great to go from one straight to the other, because I kept getting confused because they sounded exactly the same. It was good, like the story was okay, but I was kind of glad when it was over, if that makes sense. So not my favorite, but if you like fairies and stuff, give it a go. I particularly liked that it was all set in Scotland, so that was really nice. But then I was sort of like, okay, so I listened to like 4 books and I was like, next please. So I started on the Mistborn series, and I've literally just started it. I'm like an hour and a half into it. So no comments just yet. I am intrigued. I really liked the is it a prologue, the beginning little bit before the main chapters. Really enjoyed that, and I'm excited to delve into that world. So I feel like this episode has been a little bit all over the place. I have had to stop a few times because I've gotten really tired and have had to rest my throat, so I'm sorry if the jump cuts seem a little more jumpy than usual, but I like that style of vlog anyway. So I hope you do too. I hope you enjoy. Remember that life is beautiful and hard, but mostly beautiful. That's it from me. I'll see you guys in the comment section and on Instagram. I love you guys. Mwah. I thought you guys might like to get to know me a little better, so I've got 4 things that people ask me all the time, and I thought I would share that with you just in case you have those same questions. So first of all, my accent is weird, I know. People are always coming up to me and going, "You're not from around here, are ya?" And it's like, well, no, but yes. I was born in California near San Francisco in a tiny little suburb, and I lived there until I was 15. I never felt like I fitted in at all, and I wanted to move to England. I know it sounds kind of random, but we have family over here, and I'd visited a couple of times, and I was in love with Britpop, The Who especially, and I just knew that in order to fully appreciate the music, I was going to have to live here and experience the culture firsthand. And my dad was super sick of his corporate job, so we had a conversation one day, and I was like, "Dad, I'm gonna go to university in London. That's what I want to do." And at this point I was 15. We looked up online prices and all that stuff, and it's super expensive to study abroad. He said he was sick of his job, and so he looked at me and he was like, "Well, if I can get a job in England, let's talk about moving there." So I really vividly remember going to our favorite pasta restaurant, my mom and my dad and me, and talking about it, and actually figuring out that we could make it work. We came over for a week's holiday, and we did a little road trip around England, which we soon figured out was a lot harder than road tripping in America because the roads are super small. And we were looking at different places to live and what it was like in different regions. We came back home to America, and Dad was looking for jobs. He got a job interview, came over here for a week, and he found a job, a house, and a school within a week. And we moved. It was absolutely insane. So, so yeah, that's the long answer. The short answer is I usually tell people, yeah, I've lived here for over 10 years, and I moved over here when I was 15. My accent just won't go away. And that's the truth. We've lived near Bristol for most of the time we've been here, and I went to uni in London. So my accent is annoyingly still quite American, and every now and again it goes very American, but every now and again it also goes kind of Bristolian too, so it's totally crazy. I live in the UK. The UK is my home. I feel British, like deep down in my bones. I don't consider myself American. I went through a long time of actually like being very anti-American because I was really unhappy as a teenager there. But since then, I've obviously realized that like America is a huge place and everyone has different experiences and all that jazz. So although I would never ever want to go to high school in America, ever, there are definitely parts of it that I'd love to visit and hang out in. So that's my short answer about America. Everyone I noticed in England is kind of obsessed with America. They all think America is like the coolest place ever. But I prefer England. I prefer the weather. I prefer the culture for the most part. And Bristol especially is a very wonderful city that's just very close to my heart. So that's that one. Number 2 is just a brief history about me, like where I came from and how I got into this. I started my online life on Flickr as Killer X Kim. I was on Flickr for several years, really into photography. That's what I wanted to do. I was here in the UK and I studied all creative A levels. I did photography and graphics and animation for my A levels, which is basically, for you American folks, the last 2 years of high school. So I was very fortunate to be in a very good school. This is becoming much longer. Sorry. So I started on Flickr, and then I started my blog in 2008 called AUshopUK, where I blogged about all things photography, scrapbooking, journaling, and then that slowly evolved into illustration and applied and got into Camberwell College of the Arts, which is part of the University of Arts London. So I made my little dream come true. I went to university in London. It was wonderful. I did a foundation year and then I studied illustration there. It's a beautiful little college and I loved it. But London was a little bit hectic for me. I got ill in 2008. Yeah, I got ill in 2008. I went over to Spain with my school and we were on an art trip and we were doing amazing things, but I got heat stroke and I never fully recovered from that. Yeah, I can do a whole nother video if anyone's interested about my chronic fatigue story, but basically I'm super tired all the time and I get really annoying symptoms. There's just a whole list of them. So I deal with this on an everyday basis. I can only work part of the week and I have to be in bed the other part of the week. So yes, long story short, that's me. I changed all of my usernames to kimsmithhappy at some point, 2009 maybe, and that's what I've been ever since. I can't remember, but I've been that since I can remember. I had a little bit of fame in the scrapbooking world when I designed a line of scrapbooking paper, which was super fun, by the way, and Red Velvet Art scrapbooking kits picked it up. So that's, Elsie from My Beautiful Mess, her friend Rachel picked that up and I was in one of their kits and that was super awesome and I absolutely loved that. So you might recognize me from there. I used to have a black bob and ride a Vespa and all that jazz. The other thing people ask me all the time is how did I get into knitting? I learned to knit when I was a kid, when I was about 10, like most people do, but I only really picked it up now and again and I wasn't really that into it until I was forced to spend a lot of time in bed when I got ill. So I got ill in 2008 and I was 18 and I spent a lot of time in bed. I was so tired that I couldn't get up and do stuff. I couldn't go hang out with my friends. I couldn't ride my Vespa. I couldn't even go to school for a lot of the time. So I was lying in bed, feeling super sorry and miserable for myself, and I started finding things to do with my hands that I could do in bed, and knitting was the thing that brought me the most joy. I continued to knit all the way through uni, and that's when I really started playing around with different stuff. I taught myself pretty much everything from books and YouTube and just reading tutorials online. I learned fair isle, color work, pretty much everything. That was what really inspired me to keep going and to not totally give up on life because there's nothing worse than lying in bed when your brain wants to go and you're full of excitement and enthusiasm for something, but you're just too gosh darn tired to even get up and go to the bathroom. So yeah, that's what I did. I went to university for illustration, which was really awesome, but I found that I couldn't do all of the on-site drawings that everyone else was doing. So I would go to maybe one of the things, do some drawings, and then on days when the other people in my class were out drawing, I spent in bed at home or on the couch looking at the things that I'd drawn and sketching them out into knitting patterns and fair isle and all that kind of stuff. And that's where my love of knitting just bloomed from. Yeah, so having chronic fatigue really sucks, but I would never have found my love for knitting and spinning if it wasn't for that. So, things are roundabouts. After uni, I was exhausted. I was just so done with living in a city and not being able to participate in everything. I don't know if you guys have ever found this, but if you don't feel well and everyone's out doing stuff and you know that you have to stay home, it kind of sucks. I knew I wanted to move back to the country, and I knew that Bristol was, the place I wanted to go. And my dad was taking an early retirement at the time. He just, sprung that on me one day. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, I want to move too. Maybe we can, make it work. Because my mom at that point was coming down to London like every weekend to help me do my laundry and my cooking for the week and all that jazz. So she was basically my carer at this point. We decided to pool our resources, and it was going to make more sense financially and everything if we moved near each other or like got adjoining flats or something. And then we were visiting Bristol, and we drove past this shop that I'd driven past every single day when I was at school, and it was for sale. And it was just meant to be. Instead of taking a year off after uni like I had planned to to rest and get better, I decided to open up a retail store instead because I am absolutely fucking crazy. The shop has been open for 2 years now, and it is my baby. It's only open 4 days a week, but that is 4 more days a week than I ever could have possibly imagined. So yes, I do make a lot of stuff in store myself. We have a bunch of yarn that is made here by me or by my little elves, and there's a lot of pin badges, vintage notions, vintage jumpers, and then we do also stock British yarns and other locally made stuff, ethically sourced things like that. And yeah, I just love it. It's turned into an amazing little part of the community. I'm incredibly thankful that it's happened and that, I had to work really hard to do it. And it's ended up sort of being a family business, which I am sure Mom and Dad didn't ever expect, and I didn't ever expect to happen. But my mom and dad are awesome. They're like my best friends. They're the best flatmates anyone could ever ask for. We actually live next to each other, so we're not, on top of each other all the time, which thank God, because once you have the freedom of living alone, moving back in with your parents, even if you love them and adore them, it can be very wearing. So I very much appreciate that little bit of independence that I have. But I'm also very thankful that if I want a girls' night, I can just, knock on the door and say, hey, Mom, come over. So that's really awesome. So yeah, my dad helps with all the accounts, and my mom is the shops person, the shop assistant on a Thursday, and she does a lot of the amazing stuff like washing all of the vintage jumpers and labeling everything. She's an amazing little elf. But I do all of the designing and the ordering and all of the big, bad, important boss stuff. That's my job. It works out really well, and if anyone's interested, we can do a video on what it's like to have your mother as your employee, because let me tell you, it's weird. Sometimes it's really weird, but it's also amazing because we work well together. So there you go. There's the brief history of me and how long the shop's been open, how I got started, and all that. I hope that wasn't too boring for y'all, but that basically catches y'all up. That's where we are right now. Thank you if you've been here from the absolute beginning, and if you are brand new, welcome to this madhouse. Welcome to